Hello and welcome. Today we have our session, which is session number 10. So this one is about scheduling within Rapidi. So we want to cover a few things here. First, we just want to go through scheduling, have an introduction and explain what this is and how it looks. Then we'll go into my Rapidi. We'll go through schedules, create a new schedule, and show you how you can edit the schedules and what you can do there. Then we have the questions part. So if you have any questions, you can just use the chat and drop them there. And then we'll show you which are the upcoming sessions and what we plan to cover next. And then last but not least, we have resources, so general resources, and then the resources which are specific to this session. Now, let's talk a bit about scheduling and schedules in general. So as you know, within Rapidi, you have the option to configure transfers or even groups of transfers so that they run automatically, right? So you can set up schedules for individual transfers or for groups, right, if you want to. So when you have your schedules set up, they will run at defined intervals. So for example, you can say, I want to set up a schedule, and then this one is supposed to run every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, that schedule will run accordingly. And of course, they will run based on that interval that you have set up, so you don't have to intervene afterwards, right? So they just do their thing, and then you just monitor the schedules and make sure that everything is okay. And of course, if something goes wrong, if there are any errors on any of the systems, if, I don't know, maybe a run is missed, then Rapidi will notify the users. As you know, of course, you can add specific recipients that can receive notifications. If there are errors or it doesn't run on time, right, then someone will need to receive those emails and take action accordingly. Now, when it comes to schedules, we do want to go through the overview a bit and explain what you have there. So on any schedule, you have what's called next date and time. So this this defines the next time the schedule will run. So the first time you set up a schedule, you should be able to see there a date and time, right? When this is supposed to run for the first time, right? If it's the first time running, or when it's supposed to run next time, if this is a schedule that has been running for a while. Then the interval here, you can set it up to run every 10 minutes, every hour, every day. So it's up to you how you want this to run. And then you have the option within the schedule, and this one is called run on these days. So within a schedule, you can decide on the specific days that the schedule should run. For example, you can say, I want the schedule to run from Monday to Friday between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. So then when you do that, then the schedule will run only during those specific days and that specific time interval. So you can decide when the schedule is supposed to run. If you do not set anything there, then the schedule will always run from Monday to Sunday, right? 24 hours. And of course, then you have the time period. Like I mentioned above, so you have the start time and end time. So like maybe you have schedules that need to run during the night. So for example, you can say, okay, the start time of the schedule should be maybe 10 p.m., right? And then the end date would be maybe 2 a.m. So you can have this setup done on the schedule. So the schedule runs only during that specific time frame, and then that's it, right? So then it will not continue to run outside of that time interval. And then you have error handling. Here, of course, you would actually define, how often you want to be notified, right? So if you have a schedule that's running every 10 minutes, you can say, okay, if there's an error, I want to be notified every 10 minutes. If not, I want to be notified every hour or every day. So it's up to you how you want to be, how often you want to be notified about the specific error. Then you have priority. So here you can, for example, set up specific schedules to be high priority because you think that those are really important and they should always run. So if you do that, then Rapidi will always run those first when multiple schedules are due to run. So if you have 10 schedules and 2 of them are a high priority, then they will always be considered, the first ones to run from a list of schedules that are due to run. So you can also think of that if you actually need it. If you don't, then you just leave the normal priority, and they will run based on their frequency. Then, of course, status. So status, you have here, you have the active, you have the active schedules which are supposed to run on a specific frequency. Then when the schedule is all good, is running okay, you will see that it has this green icon next to it. So it means that everything is running okay. You don't need to do anything there, right? If you see this yellow icon that says processing, right, then this means that when you're looking at it, the schedule is running. So it's trying to run and transfer data to the other system. Of course, you will also see the red icon, right, the error one. So there you would see schedules that have an error. So then you have to take action. And then another point here is that you have what we call stopped schedules. So those are inactive schedules. So they are no longer active schedules, that they are not running. They have been paused, right? And for them to run again, you have to go back to those schedules and restart them, right? So they will stay there idle until you actually go back and activate them. And then we have tags. So for example, if you are using tags because maybe you have multiple companies in your ERP, then you can use those tag values to set up the schedule. So when it comes to tags, of course, you would define a tag for every company. So for example, you have 2 companies in your ERP system, and then each of them has the specific tag defined within Rapidi. Then when you set up the schedule, you can set it up based on that tag. And this means that the same transfer can run for 2 different companies. So that's the purpose here. So it will help you to schedule transfers for any number of companies that you might have in your system. So that would be the overview. Now let's take a look at Rapidi, because this would definitely make more sense here. Screen, let's see, this one here. Okay. So this is where we have to go, right? If we want to see our schedules, if we want to see what's happening. This one here, yeah, I was not sharing, so now I realize that. My apologies. So then this would be the page where you see the schedules, right? So you have here the active ones. So as I mentioned before, so active means that it's running, so data is being transferred, so it's all good. And then if you go to all here, you see all of them. So you see active and inactive. So then if you have stopped one of the schedules because you don't want to run it anymore, but then you want to resume it, like I mentioned, you can come here and edit the schedule and run it again. But just so you know that there's a difference between the active ones and then all, meaning, all the other schedules that you have in here. Now, if we go here, you have active, right? And then next to it, you have due to run. So here you would see the schedules that are due to run, right? So if you have 10 schedules running, then you'd come here and you see, okay, so maybe you have 2 schedules that are about to run. So then they will be listed here, right? And of course, this would refer to active schedules that are running and, they have been set up previously. Then you have notified overdue. Here you would see the schedules that have not run on time. Maybe something happened along the way, or maybe there's a different schedule that's taking more time, right? So then if you have a schedule that did not run on time, then you would see it here, and then you would be able to see the exact one. And of course, you will also be notified via email about the ones that are overdue, so that you can take a look and see what happened with it. And then next to it, we have grouped. So of course, here you would see all the groups, right? And how the schedules are actually grouped. Because when you set up a schedule, you can set it up only for a transfer. You can set it up for a group, or you can use tags, for example, right? So you have different combinations that you can use so that you sync your data correctly. If we go back to the list here, you have here some options available. Here you have the option to create new schedules or to edit existing ones. So that's something that we can do. And then when it comes to editing, for example, right? So you already have an active schedule. You just click on this pencil here, and then you can edit the schedule and change information here. So when you go into edit mode, you have different options. So you can change a lot here if you want to. For example, you can change the interval. You can say, okay, I don't want this to run every hour. I want to run it every day, for example. So you change it. Then you can change the priority. If you want to say, okay, this is a high priority schedule, I want it to be the first one every time, you just choose high. And then here, what we have for error handling. So here are some things that need to be covered. First, if you have a schedule that's running, but then has an error in the end, you can say, okay, skip it. What this means is that it will not try to run it again. It will actually wait for the next time this schedule is supposed to run and retry, right? And then if you choose retry, it means that when the schedule ran and it ended with an error, then Rapidi will try to run it again immediately afterwards. So it's like constantly retrying this one. So this one, in this case, it's not a good idea to use it, because maybe your schedule is transferring specific data to the destination system, and you need time to look into it, see what data is being transferred and all that. So it needs investigation. So if you were to use retry, it would constantly try to send the data over, and it wouldn't give you enough time to actually resolve the issue. So instead, I think the default value is skip, because it will run, let's say, every 10 minutes, right? And it will not try to run it again within the next minute, right? So it's more like it allows the other schedules to also run, but also it gives you a bit of time to look into that specific error. And then the last one, if you use stop, well, if your schedule has an error, then it will stop from running. So, well, I don't think we want that, but that's an option that you can use. I think 99% of our customers use skip, because then you just want it to retry next time when the schedule is supposed to run, not retry constantly, and then getting so many notifications via email. So then skip. And then this one will tell you last time the schedule run. So you can see the date time here, and then next time when this is supposed to run, right? So this is calculated, but obviously you can change it. If you say, okay, I want to change this and set it to something else, you can say, okay, I'm going to set it up to tomorrow, and it would be the same time, right? So that's the thing. And then you have error interval and notify interval. So this refers, of course, to if you how often you want to be notified about these errors, right? So then in this case, if the schedule fails, then it will retry within 1 hour, right? But then if you want to be notified within 1 hour, then you have to change this to 1 hour, for example, right? And then you will get an email. If you don't want to be notified that often, you can say once per day, just send me an email with the error, with the last error or whatever happened with the schedule. And then here it will track the notified date time. So you can see when was the last time someone got notified about this specific schedule. And then here you can also make changes to any of the schedules. So you can say, okay, I want this to run from Monday to Friday. You can have here the start date. You can say, okay, put it to 8 a.m. And then here we go to, we can put it here, 3 p.m. So then you can actually restrict this part, and then as soon as you save it, then the schedule will run according to what you have set up here. And of course, you can always edit the schedule. If, for example, you need to change something again, you can come back here and change that thing. So that's really not an issue. Like in this case, I made the changes, and then I'm just going to save it. So now my schedule will run accordingly. Now, if we were to create a new schedule, of course, so we go here, right? So here, there are options, like I mentioned. So you have 3 options. 1, use tags. 2, just pick a transfer. Or 3, use groups. So tags here. So as you can see, I have specific tags defined. So I can select one of the companies and then one of the transfers or the groups, right? So that's one option. Then when it comes to transfers, it will actually add here all your transfers, everything you have in here. So you can select any of them, and then that will be added there. And then groups here, I have, let's say, transfers, which are part of specific groups. Like in my case, I would say, okay, I'm going to use the contact group, and I'm going to use this one. So this way you would see, I want to run the contact group for this specific company. And then description, if you want to add something, you can. Otherwise, Rapidi will actually populate this field with specific information. Then we have interval. So I want this to run, let's say, once per day. And then the status usually is left to this default one, okay, because it never runs. So there's no need to put something else. And then priority, you can decide what to put. I'm just going to leave it to normal. And then error handling, like I said, I'm just going to set it to skip because I don't want this to, retry it all the time. So skip. And then as you can see here, it has next daytime. So it just records the current daytime. But of course, if you don't want this to run straight away, you can say, okay, I want this to run tomorrow. And I'm going to put here, let's say, this time. So then it will run at this specific date and time. And then error interval. So let's say put 1 day. If I want to, and of course the notify interval, I would say 1 day, because if my schedule is running every day, then there's no point in setting up a value that's less than 1 day. And then here, I can say, okay, I want to run it from Monday to Friday, and then I just leave here as it is, meaning that it will constantly run. So it doesn't have like any time restrictions on it. And then as soon as I'm done with this part, I'm going to save it, right? And then if we go to active here, so then you would be able to see my new schedule. So as I mentioned before, this description is actually added automatically unless you want to add something else. But as you can see, you'll have a code and description. So the code would be group, so G from group, and then contact, my connection for the specific company, and the company name, right? Because I have used tags, so it identified the connection and the company name that I want this schedule to run for. So then you would have a new schedule that will run tomorrow, for example. And here you'll see last daytime run. So it'd be NA because it never run, right? Because tomorrow would be the first time it runs. And then tomorrow after this runs, then here will be populated with a specific date, right? So the last time it ran, and then this one would be moved forward to the next day because the schedule is running every single day. So then you would be able to do that. And of course, if you have set up the schedule, you can edit this one if you want to add more, remove data. It's up to you how you want to do it. And here you have other options. So you have the option to import JSON or export JSON. So if you want to export the schedules, you just select them, right? And you just click export. So it means that it will export the schedules information, and you can import them in a different service, for example, right? Then if you want to import a JSON, then you will need to have a JSON available and import that. So when you import the JSON, it will automatically create the schedules, the ones that you have within the file. Here you can select these or maybe just one. It's up to you, and you can have click on export PDF. It will export the schedules information in a PDF document. So in case you need that information and you want to review that. And then you have start and stop. So here, if you want to start a schedule manually, you just select it and click on start. And when you do that, it will automatically start running. If you want to stop it, right, then you just click on stop, and then the status would be changed to stopped. And then it will disappear from this active list. So you have that option. And of course, delete all. If you want to delete everything from here, you just click on it. But of course, do that only if it's really, really, really necessary. Otherwise, if you don't need a schedule, just set it to stopped, and then it will disappear from your list here. Now on top here, we have different filters. So here you can see only the ones that you have selected or not selected. So if you have a very long list, you can just filter on that. And then here you have, again, a full list of schedules, so active and inactive. You can select any of them here if the list is too long. Then we have the groups. Again, you can take a look at the groups that you have. Here you have the transfers available. And here, statuses, for example, if you want to see the ones that are in processing or maybe error or maybe stopped. So you can always filter on any of them. And of course, priority. And here, any keyword that you want to type in so that you can find a specific schedule. But of course, you would be able to find your schedules just by using the filters that you have here on top. Now, from the schedules themselves, you have the option to go to the transfers. So this is the icon here to go to transfers. So if you click on it, it will lead you to the actual transfer. See here. Then here you would see the logs, the runs and logs, right? So we covered this in a previous session. So runs, logs, and data errors. And then here you would see specifically the logs for the specific schedule. So it's just another way of seeing that information. And here you can delete the schedule if you want to. So these are the actions that you can perform here for these schedules. I think that's it for this part. Let me just grab this one. So you have any questions? We have any questions? So we'll just go through this part. So the upcoming session, so the next one is about triggers and real-time, near real-time patterns. So we'll explain that a bit and how you need to set it up. So this is a very interesting topic, I would say. And of course, if you want to see the other sessions and what we have planned, you can check the main page here and then register for any of those. And this is the complete schedule. So if you want to take a look and find the session that you need. And then feedback, any questions, anything, or any topic that you want us to cover, just use this feedback form, add information there, and then we'll definitely look into it and try to provide maybe more content or, maybe additional information and all that. Resources, so here we have the wiki. So we are constantly updating the wiki. Of course, if you have any questions about any particular topics or maybe something is not fully documented, you can always reach out and just let us know, because we definitely want to make it as complete as possible so that you can use it and troubleshoot faster and easier, I would say. Then support, if you have issues or need our help, you can reach out to support. You can submit your case and then we will be able to help. Then we have the product updates. You can subscribe if you want to, and you should get good content into your email, into your inbox. So feel free to do that. And the release notes, which are really important because we document every release, what's included, any, let's say, new functionalities, any new features, fixes, or maybe new systems that we support. So definitely check this out. And if you have any questions about them, you can also reach out to us. And then the resources specific for the session. So we have schedules. So this is from our wiki. So all these pages explain everything about schedules, what happens, how you can make changes and all that. So If you need more information, you can definitely go to these pages. Then the failing schedules. So this is something that you would always see when you log into your Rapidi service. You should be able to see if you have any failing schedules, right? And then take action accordingly. Then we have another article about setting up schedules, how to do that, right? And then you'll get there, you'll see there all the information and details for that. And these schedules in combination with tags, because this is something used quite often. So there you would be able to see, that tags can be used on schedules so that you can transfer data, to different legal entities. So you can definitely use these resources to understand a bit more about schedules and how to use them every day. And I think that was it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope that we covered everything. If not, then you can always reach out, ask questions, tell us your feedback, and then we would be happy to answer to any questions or to improve our content if necessary. So that being said, then I will see you next week when we have our next session. Please feel free to register for any of the sessions that we have open, because we definitely want to cover as much as possible and provide you with all the information that you need. Thank you again and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.